What's going on, everybody? My name is Heath Cox. This week, obviously, we're talking about financial situations in higher education. This is something that we all kind of deal with. We all have our own story when it comes to how much debt we have, what our plans are to pay it off. I feel like it's important for us to have some sort of plan. I know for me, I take care of interest every month, so that way it's not accumulating, and I only am papped at the end of it all once. I'm able to get more experience and get a higher paying job, that I'll be able to just pay off principal balance, and that's my goal. So now every month it doesn't accumulate. But for the topic this week, I feel like students, staff, and faculty all need to be able to work together, so that way we can find different kinds of ways to maybe increase state funding when it comes to public education, so that way tuition isn't having to increase its tuition every year. That's my honest opinion. My article for this week that I did for my journal entry is about an author who, I actually got it right here. It's an author from a book called Indebted, excuse me, by, what's her name at? Caitlin Zaloom. And it's basically an interview with Caitlin Zaloom, and she kind of talks about how everyone is dealing with this issue. And at the end, something I really liked is that the best way to do that is by funding public colleges well enough so that it can lower the cost to low or no tuition. The whole article is about how families are willing to go above and beyond so that way their children have their opportunities in college. And how it's crippling some middle class families. Obviously, in the lower class, you're dealing with that as well. It was a really great article. It's on the Chronicle of Higher Education. The article titled "Why Parents Will Give Up Everything to Pay for Their Kids' College." I used it for my journal entry this week. It was a really great read. And at the end of the article, it talks about how they're punishing students right after they graduate with the debt, and it's at a very vulnerable time in our lives where this debt is just hitting us at as hard as it possibly can. And I really think that if there is any possible solution, if it's going to continue to be this way, is that they kind of give us a delay in making those, like having to make those payments, so that way, instead of, hey, you just graduated school, now here's your first level job, but you also got to make all these payments for us. Maybe when we're 5-10 years down the road, when we built up our career a little bit, there's some sort of delay there. Doesn't mean you're less likely to, or less responsible for what you owe. But if we're going to continue this way, in this crippling debt for students who are dealing with so much at this point, at least give them some time to better themselves, better their careers, and make it less, I guess, painful for us to deal with right now. And it's just really hard for me too, because I work with osteopathic medicine students every day. I know how stressful it's already stressful enough being in a medical school, where you have exams that cover 4 or 5 different topics. You don't know where the questions are going to come from, and then they have 3 weeks worth of material in histology, medical gross anatomy, MFM, all these different types. And if they fail, their first semester, you're already $50,000 in the hole, and that's LMU's yearly tuition rates. So, and there's a lot that goes on with that. I know. Medical students do have an option when it comes to repayment options if they want to go into the Army. They won't necessarily have to go in there and do all of physical training and things like that, but you just have to do your rotations with an Army or an Army like hospital. So yeah, they have those options. Obviously, there's options like that as well with civilians working if they wanted to join the Army, and they'll pay off their school, but it shouldn't have to come down to that. But our students, they're under a lot of pressure, and sometimes it's just, for me, I'm not someone who's trained in financial aid, but hearing them out is good. Sometimes they just need someone to vent to, and that's something that I've done with my students. We have someone who comes in every week when it comes to financial aid to handle all of that. So I couldn't imagine being that much, so much into, they go to school for 4 years and they're financial aid. They're over $200,000 in debt by the time they graduate and start their residency. So, yeah, it's a problem here in America, and it's something that if we do not get leaders in our offices that are willing to make a big step for students moving forward, I think there's going to be some issues when it comes to, because eventually it's just going to be so overwhelming that it's going to be impossible to pay. It already kind of is. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. That's how I feel. I really liked the article I had this week. I think it had some good points. But yeah, feel free to check that out. And if you guys have any questions, let me know.